We are transmitting live from San Diego State University, the studios of KPBS. Today we welcome more than 200 participating sites and many leaders of business, government, and education throughout Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Peru, Paraguay, Brazil, Bolivia, Argentina, and the United States of America. We would like to thank once again Telecomunicaciones de Mexico, Panamsat, Brazilsat, and Argentina's Nahuelsat for their satellite linkage services, which allow us to reach all of you through the wonders of telecommunications. Welcome to the program Decision Making and Technology, the Cost of Modernizing Our Organization, the 7th video conference in our 12-program 1996 series, Strategies for Global Competitiveness. I'm Dr. Michael Reel, and I will be your moderator for this video conference. We would like to remind the coordinators at each receive site to collect the attendance sheets for your sites and mail them to the International Training Center, along with a list of participants interested in obtaining the certificate or diploma for this series of programs. As in the past, this program is composed of 2 presentation modules and 2 question and answer sessions. We look forward to your live participation. Today's program is important given that all organizations today are facing the inevitable reality that modernization cannot occur without introducing technology into their decision-making and work environment in general. What are the costs of this modernization process? How is it done? How does an organization plan for future emerging technologies? What are the critical success factors? Today we will discuss these issues, the problems of planning and managing information and telecommunications technology, the requirements for organizational change, education, and training, and the overall impact of our traditional way of doing business in today's more and more technology-based business environment. Let me add a personal note. I share the anxiety that all of you in business, education, and government may feel in regard to decision-making and technology. As director of the School of Communication at San Diego State University, I face the challenge of modernization of an organization. We have personnel, technology, and goals. How do we incorporate the potential of new technologies in our organization in the most cost-effective way possible? I must intelligently choose whether to spend our money on computer labs, video production equipment, multimedia production, interactive services, data subscription services, technical support personnel, and other choices. All of us have much to learn from our experts today about employing the World Wide Web and the Internet, about developing an information technology, or IT, strategy, about cost factors, about staff training. Our session today offers both general guidelines and specific details. It is my pleasure to introduce today's guests and expert speakers, Dr. Lawrence Rhyne and Jeffrey Smith. Dr. Rhyne is Associate Professor of Management at San Diego State University. He teaches international business strategy, the management of technology and innovation, planning systems and strategic management in the undergraduate, graduate, and executive MBA programs. He recently was the recipient of a Meritorious Performance and Professional Promise Award. His research interests center on effective strategies for companies in high technology and emerging industries in a global context. Professor Rhyne has 8 years of corporate experience, most recently as manager of corporate planning at Skill Corporation in Chicago, Illinois. Dr. Rhyne has contributed articles in major technical journals such as Strategic Management Journal, Journal of High Technology Management Research, Journal of Management Studies, Journal of Product and Brand Management, and the 3rd Biennial High Technology Management Conference Proceedings. Jeff Smith is currently president of Smith Automation Services, SAS, a firm dedicated to providing strategic, technical, and managerial information technology consulting services from an integrated systems perspective. Mr. Smith is also the president of Virtual Integrators Incorporated, a firm dedicated to its partnership with Digital Equipment Corporation in providing full-service, turnkey Internet solutions to the national marketplace. Mr. Smith has over 30 years' experience in the design, development, management, and marketing of communication and information systems, products, and services for both government and commercial applications. Prior to founding Smith Automation Services and Virtual Integrators, Mr. Smith was Chief Information Officer and Vice President of the Telecommunications Systems Group for a major defense contractor specializing in multimedia, multi-vendor applications, running over a variety of government and commercial networks. As Chief Information Officer, Mr. Smith was responsible for all technology planning, purchasing, installation, and maintenance of computer hardware, software, and communications for a 200-office, $2 billion per year corporation. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Before we begin, I would like to ask you both the following question. Can you cite a specific example of an organization that has been modernized using new global technologies? Larry?
Well, the example that I'm most familiar with is San Diego State University. Approximately 3 years ago, the senior leadership made a commitment to modernizing and providing the hardware and software to link to the internet. As a result, our communication on campus and globally has increased greatly.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yes, recently we've had the opportunity to work with Santa Clarita College on their Vision 2000 Information Technology program to provide community information services and a campus-wide network to provide both inter-campus communication and also global communication services.
Let's begin the Module 1 now, in which Dr. Rhyne will explain to us the basics of technology management.
Will it be possible to conduct business as usual while still taking advantage of the new possibilities made possible with the advent of the internet and other advanced information and communication technologies? In many cases, the answer will be no. The use of these technologies has expanded rapidly in a very short period of time. Individuals, companies, and countries and societies are rushing to understand the implications and to take advantage of this new form of communication. Certainly, this new technology has challenged the assumptions of all of the previous groups, from parents of children to the CEO of Microsoft. However, the choice facing decision makers is not one of either totally embracing the new technology without reservation or being left behind in the new world's new technology reality. High technology refers to products and processes that have relatively large amounts of scientific or knowledge content. A technology-based competitive firm is one which, as a central part of its competitive positioning, has chosen to compete in areas where technology is uncertain and not fully understood, which have a high degree of scientific or knowledge content in its operations, and in which technology can be applied to make its technological stance an important element in its competitive strategy. All firms utilize technology, but not all base their competitive strategy on technology. As technologies mature, their uncertainty and costs are reduced. An important task of senior leaders is to define a technology strategy which is appropriate given the organization's level of resources and risk propensity. Throughout this module, I will discuss the ways in which managing the introduction of a very new technology requires a change from doing business as usual. I will describe the critical success factors for managers in high technology environments. Strategic approaches as well as day-to-day activities will be highlighted. During this discussion, I will use the phrase Internet technology to refer to all of the various components of the global information network, including email, desktop video conferencing, fax systems, intranets, the World Wide Web, etc. A wide range of middle courses in the adoption of new Internet technologies are available to a flexible decision maker. These options require the giving up of some control while still providing overall direction. Many companies in the United States are accustomed to reviewing elaborate cost-benefit analysis before committing to projects. In other societies in the Western Hemisphere, executives prefer to establish face-to-face relationships before doing business. In the fast-paced environment of the Internet, both of these preferences are challenged. The new technology environment presents the following realities. Young experts who are focused on the technology. Actually, all the experts are not so young, but the technology is new, and even experienced managers are having to learn new capabilities. Many of the new experts understand the technology, but not necessarily how best to apply that technology. These experts may or may not be formally trained. They may already exist within the organization, be groomed from personnel within the organization, or hired from outside the organization. This leads us to a second reality, which is a requirement for direction from experienced managers whose duties and responsibilities do not permit the time to maintain technical expertise. While the experts have a deep understanding of the technical dimensions, experienced managers have the breadth of understanding or knowledge of markets and relationships necessary to apply the technology to the marketplace. Next, there is the need to establish two-way communication, rapport, and trust between these two groups. In order to successfully apply the benefits of the technology to solve marketplace demand, real communication must take place between the technologists and the managers. This will require openness, learning, and adaptation from both groups. Senior executives must allocate time and resources to develop and maintain the expertise of technologists. New technologies are not easily implemented. Simply adding on a new requirement will not work. In the face of busy schedules, priorities must be set and time and money allocated. This is the responsibility of senior leaders. Technology experts expect and demand to operate in this environment. Currently in the United States, high technology companies are finding it is a requirement to post open positions on the Internet in order to attract the employees with the expertise they need. The proportion of the population connected to the Internet is still small, but the percentage among technical experts is high. How then can an organization best approach the new reality of the Internet? The organization should take an interactive approach. While a careful study of the Internet and the World Wide Web should precede implementation of an Internet strategy, this should not be considered the final solution. Rather, the initial strategy should only be considered the first in a series of programs as the technological environment unfolds and as the organization learns and grows in its understanding and capabilities. The Internet has been in existence for a number of years, but has only received popular attention in the past few, and its usage has exploded in only the last year. As a result, individuals, companies, and countries are still learning of its characteristics, even as these characteristics are rapidly evolving. As a result, decision makers should focus on developing the capability to operate in this environment rather than achieving a specific position. The first step in that process of learning and development will be to identify individuals who have the expertise or the potential to develop the expertise to work in the new technological environment. As these individuals gain training and experience with the Internet and World Wide Web, they can share that knowledge with others in the organization. There are two levels of knowledge appropriate here: the level to actually create applications and set up systems, and the lesser level to use the applications. All active users will not need the first level of deeper knowledge. Next, training and technology specialists, development of preliminary applications, and familiarization of other individuals on the use of the Internet technology should take place. After these steps, organizations should allow a period of time for experimentation by individuals to learn the characteristics of the Internet. This process allows individuals to learn the characteristics of the technology and to gain a realistic appreciation of the Internet's positive factors as well as its problems. A certain amount of this experimentation can be free-form, but most should be aimed at facilitating normal tasks within the organization. Following the experimentation period, in which individuals have learned more about the Internet, meetings should be scheduled to evaluate the knowledge gained. This should take place in both written and verbal formats. This step should initially take place at the user level, with the conclusions forwarded to higher levels for their information and input. The support of senior level officials is, of course, necessary for the success of the adaptation of a new technology. However, their hands-on involvement is not absolutely necessary. Following the evaluation of the initial experimentation period, the organization should set new directions and goals based on the knowledge and experience gained in the previous phase. This phase should include specific objectives and timetables. The timetable should be reasonable but firm. Undoubtedly, in the early periods, deadlines will be missed. However, it is important to set clear points at which progress will be reevaluated. As the organization's depth of knowledge and capability develop, the opportunities available in the Internet environment should be evaluated, and new and more challenging projects proposed and implemented. For the foreseeable future, this will be a continuous process, which will be repeated again and again. Based on previous experience with the adoption of new technologies, the following factors will be critical to the successful introduction of the Internet technology. 3 interdependent factors: skilled human assets, skilled senior leadership, and adequate resources are required. If any one of these factors is absent, a successful introduction is unlikely to occur. At their core, firms competing through international technology-based strategies rely on an organization system that uses a strong culture to bond human assets, senior leadership, and resources together in ways that cultivate and promote core competencies and capabilities. The ability of a firm to use science and technology is rooted in the organization's people. This is particularly true in complex an ambiguous situation, such as the current stage of the development of the Internet technology. The ability to attract and retain these skilled technical employees is a critical success factor for firms pursuing technology-based competitive strategies. Attraction of these employees most often represents a positive interaction between the organization's reputation and the new employee. On the other hand, retention is a result of the interactions within the organization. Many researchers and high technology executives consider recruiting and retaining talented researchers to be the critical success factor in high technology industries. Talented researchers are typically interested in fast-paced innovation with an opportunity for significant financial rewards. Outstanding researchers avoid taking the easy path and doggedly pursue significant technological breakthroughs. Interesting problems, an appropriate reward system design, and nurturing corporate cultures are the mechanisms through which talented technological personnel are attracted and retained. Firm-specific knowledge and ability is a source of competitive advantage as it is cumulative and slow to diffuse as a result of being rooted in the firm's human assets, a function of their culture, training, experience, and corporate history. This type of knowledge is not easily defined or explained, which makes core competencies difficult for competitors to replicate. In contrast, basic science and technology, facts, can be diffused much more quickly and more easily than organizational knowledge. Consequently, organizational knowledge rooted in the firm's human assets is a central factor to a firm's core competencies and capabilities and contributes causal ambiguity which inhibits diffusion of these competencies. Experienced senior leadership capable of enabling a technology-supportive culture is the second critical success factor. The active commitment of senior leadership to achieving technological breakthroughs is essential to success in high technology strategies. Senior leadership fills several key roles, including motivating human assets, establishing two-way communication, setting direction, and securing sufficient resources. A strong, innovative organizational culture which values innovation is the basis for successful technology-based strategies. There are many prescriptions for building and maintaining such a culture, allowing it for experimentation, providing forums for the presentation of new ideas, funding for pilot tests, and the lack of punishment for failed projects, although not necessarily for repeated failure. Senior management must also provide enough organization structure to allow for a measure of control and direction to counterbalance the creative chaos found in many high technology firms. Access to the necessary expertise may be obtained through recruitment of personnel with needed skills, use of outside contracts, or use of joint ventures. An experienced executive has often developed the ability to assess these challenges and identify appropriate courses of action. Creating relevant organizational capabilities will be a key task of senior management. An organization's culture will shape the nature of the learning process necessary for competency development. A key element of an innovative organization culture is two-way communication between senior executives and technology experts. The new information technologies, such as email and desktop video conferencing, enable this communication to take place on a global basis. An even more accurate description would be multidimensional communication within and outside the organization. This implies that new ideas and information reach the relevant decision maker. It also implies that the relevant decision makers receive and act on that information. Senior leadership sets the tone and provides the forums and channels for this type of communication. When Intel's senior management made the decision to shift from memory chips to integrated circuits, they discovered the company was well on the way towards implementation, since middle-level managers had sensed the need and had already begun to shift resources. There is agreement that a crucial role of senior management is to provide direction and vision to the firm. Abundant opportunities exist for the high-technology firm, and the problem is to select those opportunities that are best, given the available skills and resources. Senior management should engage in participatory management to facilitate resolution of this problem. Decision-making needs to take the form of consensus with qualification, in which affected managers' opinions are solicited, but decisions are made in a timely manner. Senior management must be responsive to new technological opportunities, a particularly challenging task since technological development is not linear. This implies that new technological opportunities must be evaluated as they are recognized and the most promising integrated into the firm's technologically based competitive strategy. Another key role of senior leadership includes securing sufficient resources to sustain the firm, as well as looking outside the firm in order to understand industry structures relevant to the product or service being created. Senior leadership must ensure that the product or service being created is relevant to targeted customers. An elaborate planning system is not appropriate for development of new technologies, but understanding and identifying future requirements for personnel, facilities, and financial resources is required. This includes identification of various types of expertise in technology, marketing, manufacturing, and other firm-specific relevant assets. Organizations with limited resources may choose to position themselves at a later stage of the technology lifecycle. By doing so, they may reap most of the benefits at a much lower cost. They may also explore creative options of leasing, test utilization, or purchasing of used equipment. Technology-based, competitive firms must maintain an external focus. This is true both for organizations at the cutting edge of technological change and for those that have chosen to operate at a more mature stage of technology development. Factors to be examined include customer demands, competitors' products, and technology that could be licensed in. Technological trends are difficult to forecast. Therefore, executives must be up on current events. There is often intense competition for project funding, and a close market orientation identifies the best allocation of resources. Financial, physical, and technological resources dedicated to corporate technology goals represent the third critical success factor. A firm's resources include physical capital, human capital, and organizational capital. Sufficient financial resources must be available to fund research and development and to obtain the other resources necessary for ongoing operations. Large sums of financial resources alone do not guarantee success and may actually be a hindrance if applied to overly complex and ambitious projects. Companies that effectively leverage and stretch their limited resources to achieve strategic results are more likely to be successful than firms that merely allocate resources without specific strategic goals. The allocation of adequate financial resources to specific technology objectives is essential to success. High technology firms successfully executing turnaround strategies may reduce some resources, but they do not reduce research and development spending. Senior management needs